all these things to do. Let me just schedule them to one day. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel, Homemaker-in-Progress. Today, I'm going to be doing my second part of my series, Biblical Homemaking. And so I'm just going to talk a little bit about homemaking and, to me, what is biblical homemaking. So first off, homemaking as a general thing, in my mind, it has become kind of a modern thing. It's let's bake sourdough bread, and how do we create these activities for our children, and how do we grow this perfect garden? We make all this perfect food, the most efficient ways to clean your house, or how to let go of it all, get it all done. And it's really something that I don't think homemaking was meant to be. And so there's this something I see on Instagram for it's become a very modernized and like picture perfect thing that I really don't believe that homemaking truly is. And if we really look at the word homemaking, it's the making of a home. And people can tell you, right? A house is not a home. And so, what makes a house a home? And we could talk about the different things that go into that. Homemaking is the making of a home. So, when I talk about biblical homemaking, I'm talking about the making of a home that is grounded in biblical truths. That is the way that God designed it to be. Now, I don't think we have perfect, here's exactly what a home should be, because in some ways, homes could look different and your family life could be different depending on your age, where you live, how many kids do you have, the activities that you're involved in, maybe even your personalities to some degree, because some people really like to be out and about and they might not spend a lot of time at home. And some people really are homebodies and they just want to be home. I'm a homebody. I like to be home. So there's just different things that come into that. But really, however you choose to do homemaking, the most important thing is that you do it grounded in the Bible out of service for God, because we love Him and we want to please Him, and we also want to steward well what He's given us. So I didn't really do research on this, but just from what I've read, when I think of homemaking or when I think of a home, I read books and it's like you either had a really big home, and so you've got maids and cooks and you've got people to do the housework, right? So you've got somebody that can clean and that can do your laundry, and somebody who cooks your meals. You might even have had like a nanny or somebody who took care of the kids. And then if you were poor, you probably lived in a small house and didn't have a lot of those things, but you also probably had a small house. And so there probably wasn't as much to take care of. And then you've got the Industrial Revolution and children going to work, um, and like kids going to school. So there's just like different things. So I feel like the idea of homemaking in today's world is not really what homemaking has been over the course of history. And so today we live in bigger houses than people probably lived in if you are not a wealthy person, than what people who were not wealthy at that time lived in. And we have busy schedules and we're just go, go, go. And we have social media and we have the news and everything is just like right at our fingertips. There's all this information that people just didn't have 100 years ago, even. So there's this idea that homemaking is getting everything done, right? You've got the perfect dinner, you've got the house clean, the laundry is done, the kids are happy, your husband is happy. And I just don't think that homemaking is about getting it all done. Homemaking is about making a home. And ultimately, our home isn't here, our home is in heaven. So, what are we doing to steward what we have here well so that we can make an eternal home? That said, we do live here. We live on earth, and this is for the time being until Jesus comes again. And so we do have homes or an apartment or wherever you live, and we have things to take care of and responsibilities. And I would think that if we just look at the Bible, there's a couple things that we could take from this. One is that the Bible tells us to do it heartily as unto the Lord. And we can take that and we can apply that principle to the various homemaking tasks that we do. So if you're cooking, if you're cleaning, if you are taking care of the kids, if you're doing laundry, whatever you're doing, just do it heartily as to God, because this is service before the Lord. And if we can look at it like that, it might help our perspectives to stop looking at these things as just chores. The Bible also tells us that women are to be keepers at home. And when we can think of that in a couple of ways, First off, keepers at home, we could say that some of our duty is to protect our home in some way. So to protect and guard against evil outside influences. And I do think we really ought to be careful. Careful with the things that we listen to, careful with the things that we watch, careful with the things that we may see um, and hear, and the people that we're around. And if you can guard your home and protect that, that is such a great thing to do. The other part of it is a keeper at home to take care of the responsibilities at home, to take care of your children and to take care of all the other activities. And I think this just comes down to practicality of not overcrowding your day, being realistic, and not being lazy. There is this thing that's been around more recently is with moms, like you're entitled to a break. Now, I do think that moms have responsibilities and that it is a busy world, and so there's things to do. And we have this pressure that we probably put on ourselves to get everything done. But also, then there's the other side of it that people are like, oh, it's okay if you didn't get it done. Well, it's not exactly okay if you don't get your responsibilities done. If you had a job and you didn't get your responsibilities done, that would be an issue. And if we're going to look at it like that, it is important for us to get things done at home too. So I would say that there should be a balance. Do not push it to the extreme of you have to get everything done so much to the point that you're inflexible and you can't just go with the flow of things. If things change, it's okay. But also not to be negligent and ignore the things that really should be taken care of. For me, I tend to overschedule. That's something I'm like, oh, I got all these things to do. Let me just schedule them to one day. That's a bad idea because I'm setting myself up for failure. Versus if I'm realistic and I can say, okay, I'm going to do laundry on this day and this day. And maybe that's all I do that day. But I set the expectation and I did what I set out to do. Getting the kitchen cleaned up every night. I do think that this is a more of a mindset thing. It's like, oh, it's going to take so long to do the dishes. And it really doesn't take that long. So if we could just get into a routine of getting them done, it doesn't have to be so bad. Another thing is if it's like overwhelming, set a timer. Do the dishes for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and just be surprised at how much you actually got done in the 10 to 15 minutes that you set that timer for. It can be really helpful to kind of say, okay, this is my block of time, and then realize that you're capable of doing a good amount of stuff in that time. I also think there are seasons. So sometimes there are things that are going to come up, and it's like, maybe you just had a baby and it's not really reasonable for you to be up and about and doing all these things. So you could have a bit of grace and just say, there are some things that are not going to get done. And then if there are things that are like, this is going to drive me crazy if it doesn't get done, like you have to have the laundry done or you have to have the floors cleaned or something like that. If you're not able to do that and you have somebody that you trust that can do that, that's great because those things will still get done. And this is a season, it passes, it's temporary. So if you have the help and you need it, take it. So ultimately, I feel like the big thing about biblical homemaking is just starting it right. And for me, that means that when I get up in the morning, what I want to start my day with is devotionals. And I feel like when I do my devotionals first thing in the morning and like I've actually spent time reading my Bible and praying, my day just goes so much better. It's just like peaceful. And I don't have this to-do list mindset that I think can happen sometimes with devotionals is like, I'm just going to check it off the list and just be done with it. If we put it at the beginning of the day and we are starting our day with this and it is the priority of our day is let's do this. It just sets the tone for the rest of the day. And that really helps, especially if you've got a child or you have a busy work schedule and it's just like these other things are going to be at you. Start your day with something that's going to ground you. Start your day with something that's going to give you the peace and the strength and the grace that you need to get through. That is a good start to do. So thank you so much, guys, for watching Homemaker in Progress today. And if there's one thing that I would like to encourage you to do is that if you're not a Christian, Jesus wants you to be saved. So it's a very simple thing. All you have to do is repent, which means to turn from your ways, to say you're sorry, and to not do them again. And that's a great foundation to build your home. Not just the home that we have here on earth, but to build your eternal home. So if you can start there, that's the most important thing. And I also want to encourage you guys that Biblical homemaking doesn't need to be some Instagram worthy reel or carousel. It's just about serving God well with what you've been given and stewarding the resources that you have well and taking care of the things that you have in your life and honoring God and putting Him first above all else.